In an SUV-crazed world, it's comforting to know that Mercedes-Benz hasn't forgotten about the pinnacle of its passenger car range, the S-Class. A new S-Class has arrived in Australia, and we're here in the Yarra Valley to learn more about it. The Mercedes-Benz S-Class can trace its direct lineage back to the 1970s, but there's nothing last century about this new model. Prices are markedly higher, but there's more standard equipment and a second generation of the advanced MBUX infotainment system, plus the dynamic safety of all-wheel drive and optional rear-wheel steer. Although the new S-Class takes some frontal styling cues from the A-Class and the upcoming C-Class, there's no missing this large dominating grille, which marks this car as the luxury flagship of the range. Yet the new S-Class is more aerodynamic and larger than before. The flanks retain the trademark ponton design theme, although Benz is steering away from that label these days, and that theme has been toned down for this new generation of S-Class. Note the recessed door handles and the narrower, distinctive new tail lights, which now extend inboard to the boot lid. An S-Class Mercedes would not be worthy of the name if it didn't cocoon the driver and passengers in the lap of luxury, and this new generation S-Class doesn't deviate from the script. It's longer and wider, with more rear seat legroom than before, but it's the sophisticated equipment on board that will have prospective buyers signing a contract of sale. The second generation of the MBUX infotainment system offers users gesture control and runs through a 12.8-inch OLED display. There's also active ambient lighting, an augmented reality head-up display, and seats that massage the passengers and keep them at precisely the right temperature. But it's probably the mind-blowing 3D effect of the instrument cluster that will delight first-time users. Rear seat passengers enjoy the full gamut of relaxed luxury motoring in the rear of the S-Class. There's plenty of legroom available even in the short wheelbase version. Rear seat royalty will be master or mistress of their own domain, with a host of all the standard features to be expected, including adjustable seats with massaging function and 2 climate control zones. In keeping with the larger dimensions of the new S-Class, the Mercedes has an extra 20 litres of boot space. So we've established that the new S-Class is a relaxing and hospitable environment for passengers, but is the driver shortchanged? Only one powertrain variant will be initially available, this 3-litre inline 6-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine, which will take fans of the marque back to the good old days, before all that business with V-configuration engines from the 90s. The engine produces its peak power in a narrow band quite high in the rev range, but torque is across a much wider band, lower in the rev range, where it's most useful. And the turbocharged petrol engine's output is supplemented by the mild hybrid electric motor, providing an extra 16 kilowatts and 250 newton metres for a 0 to 100 time of just 5.1 seconds. The downside of owning a big passenger sedan like the S-Class is that such a vehicle is not normally a joy to drive, but the S-Class does find a line between too cushy and too engaging. Naturally, the S-Class provides safe cornering and braking, but it does so with a degree of satisfaction for the driver if the driver is so inclined. All-wheel drive allows you to use all the S-Class's performance, whether it's around a corner without inducing oversteer, or in a straight line, or for stability at higher speeds on freeways. Ultimately, all-wheel drive should ensure higher levels of straight-line stability too, if you're travelling at high speeds on public roads, as the Germans are accustomed to doing. And if your usual driving regime is open road touring, the S-Class is more than quiet enough to pick the individual woodwind instruments in your favourite symphonic piece. If there's one particular aspect of the S-Class that has held true down through its previous 6 generations, it's this. The S-Class is a very serene environment for long-distance touring, yet it won't put you to sleep. And that remains the case for S-Class 7 also. It's a cliche to say so, but the new Mercedes-Benz S-Class is a technological tour de force, and practically every technological element has some ergonomic purpose in mind, either comfort or physical safety. Just reading a spec list for a car like the Mercedes S-Class, it's easy to arrive at the conclusion that it's so much technological overkill. But get behind the wheel of the car, or better yet, sit in the back seat, and you realise what a masterpiece this car is.